It's gorgeous out. Let's pop some ducks.
This is the Upduck podcast, a blend of upland and waterfowl hunting. Tune in as your hosts, Tyler Beaton, Jeff Ludicky, Matt Jeske, chat about training dogs and share their bird hunting stories, tactics, and strategies.
Ba-ding! We're back, or I should say I'm back. I am Mattless and Jeff-less tonight. So, yeah, I called in reinforcements here for a style of podcast that we had talked about, like a little bit different theme. We did one, Matt and I did one. It was a bridging the gap, which was it's like a case study on here's what's happening, right? When you're out hunting, here's what's happening in training. Well, we're gonna do a real life case study here with our good friend, Mr. Aaron Joos from Red Cedar Retrievers. Aaron, welcome back to the Upduck podcast. What's happening, my friend?
Yeah, not a lot. Thanks for having me back. I don't even know how many times it's been now, but it's starting to become a regular guest here, it feels like.
Apparently too many times. That's the answer. Anyway, I'm excited to talk to you about this case study and essentially what happened, right? And then how or what you're thinking about as far as a fix and bounce some things back and forth and this and that. So before we do that though, right? Nobody's heard of you or on our previous episodes. Give them a little background here and then we'll talk dogs.
Sure. Red Cedar Retrievers, we are a family-run kennel here, training and breeding labs. We try to produce the best possible dog for your family that can also be exceptional out in the field. We understand that at the end of the day, no matter how hard you hunt, the majority of the time with that dog is still going to be an off season. As far as hunting, you may do hunt tests or trials or something like that, in the non-hunting season, still the off season for hunting though. So we do have a big focus on good family dogs. So Western Wisconsin, just real small, 1 or 2 litters a year, maybe 6, 7 training dogs a year. At the end of the day, we got 3 kids that are keeping us busy along with all the other family stuff. So try to be as relatable as possible to everybody and just work through the training and enjoy the journey, as some would say.
Yes, excellent. How many dogs do you own, Aaron?
I own 3 right now.
3. I got 3 dogs in your house. Crazy man. And you went out on a little hunt this morning. You played hooky at work or showed up late.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You caught me at a good time here to have this little discussion. No, one of my training pastures that I've been kind of keeping an eye on every year. The geese kind of jump into it for a few days after they get pressured on some of the other, chopped corn, alfalfa, whatever is going on at that time of year, and they happen to be in it here the last couple of days. So bounced out there for a quick little thing before work today, and it was all right. It wasn't a big feed. It was maybe 50, 60 birds, and we figured we'd get 45 minutes to an hour's worth of action, and that's exactly what we got.
Okay. And so, all right. So, right, not a huge feed, but you got some action. Which dog did you take with you?
Yeah, I took my 4-year-old yellow female Nala. She's got her senior hunter title. She's had 2 litters, so I think she's had 3. This is her 4th season, so I guess she's over 4.5, almost 5 at this point. But I brought her with. She's got the most experience with that type of hunt. We kind of, this cow pasture is like golf course type grass, and there happened to be some standing corn off to the side that the birds were landing on, so we just kind of tucked into that and had to navigate around a barbed wire fence and electric fence and all that. So we figured we'd bring the girl with probably the most control and most experience for this one.
Okay. All right. And I have personally seen Nala work. I got a chance to do that this summer when we trained together. She would be a burner. She is fast, and there is no shortage on drive with her. She's not huge. What does she weigh?
She's right around 50 to 55, depending on the time of year.
5 pounds. Yeah. She's lean and mean, and I can't imagine her just pounding geese laying in the field.
Yeah.
All right. So, right, you're set up, right? You said you got action. Like, what happened, right? Group of birds came in.
Yeah. So first group came in. We had set like, I don't know, 8, 10 decoys. That was it. Just something real small. And first group of birds came in, and they wanted to be there anyway, so we didn't really have to do a whole lot of calling. They took one loop, set into the decoys, and pulled the trigger one time, dropped a bird, and she broke. So we had to deal with that. And that's something that historically she's had a problem with, to be honest with you. Especially these first goose hunts of the year. You know, she's pretty fired up. She knows exactly what's going on. And when you got a B-52 setting at 15, 20 yards in front of you, making a bunch of noise, she has a hard time controlling herself. So that's what we're here to chat about today, is how to handle some breaking, and I've got some ideas on things that we're going to do, and maybe talk about what I did wrong as well. So yeah,
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
we can go through the hunt a little more, or if you want, we can roll right into that.
Yeah. Well, so she broke, right? Obviously, I'm sure you gave her some form of correction. I'm guessing e-collar, that she probably gave you the middle paw, on, and said, I don't care, there's a bird like right there, and I'm gonna go smack that bird.
Yeah, she flew through that high five and picked that thing up and brought it back to me before. Honestly, she was probably at the bird before I was fumbling around getting to the remote, and I had told my buddy who came with me that I wasn't going to shoot it on the first couple of groups, because I know she's done this in the past. Duck, she's pretty good, but like I said, geese is a whole different story with this dog. And the way our hide was kind of behind a taller shrub, and the way they set way far left onto my side, and he kind of had to step out and around, and he wasn't going to get a shot, and they were going to get out. So I quick jumped over, grabbed the gun, and pulled the trigger, even though I said I wasn't going to. So, you know, that's probably shame on me. You know, I should have tried to let him work his way around, and even if we didn't drop anything, for him to shoot and me to make sure she didn't break is what she needed. And like, looking back now, obviously that's what we should have done like 30 seconds after it happened. You start kicking yourself. I'm like, come on. Like, and everyone falls into this, the first couple hunts of the year, everyone's excited to get out and kill a couple of birds and pull the trigger, and the season's finally here, and being able to take a step back and have a little self-control can be hard at times. So even somebody like me who's been training dogs for a while, and I guess you could consider a pro at this point, will make mistakes and do things wrong, and I'll be the first to admit it.
That's okay. Humility is a great thing. Also, you are one of the most passionate waterfowl hunters that I know personally. So, like, you getting overly excited and deciding, I'm gonna take a shot here because I really just want to. I have some pent up energy, right? I need to dispose of this pent up energy and just kill a few birds. I can see that.
Yeah, not a big goose guy. So when when there's a couple set in the decoys, it and it actually works, it makes it a little even more tempting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you shot once, she broke. Your hunting partner didn't fire at all then, correct?
He shot one
You shot one.
time, and he didn't kill anybody. Shot
Yeah.
once, after she had already
Yeah.
broke.
Yeah, she broke. Birds are flying away. It's yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just kind of took a poke and a prayer.
Yeah. I mean, like getting overly excited, I think that's a common thing for handlers that are hunting. It's a hard balance to handle your dog correctly, to hunt, do everything that you need to do. After that, what happened? Did any more birds work in for shots?
We no, kind of in typical early goose fashion. The next group sat down 50 yards past the spread, and I definitely was not holding the gun at that point when those birds were working. And just repeating, quietly repeating sit to her to help reinforce this, no breaking. And those birds sat down at 50 yards, and she could see them, and she was getting a little whiny, not too terribly bad, nothing to kind of bump them. And so my buddy Tony just kind of stepped out to get them up, because if we had another group come, we figured they would just sit down with them instead of us. And they bumped up, and it's, young birds at this time of year that don't know what's going on, and they circled us like 4 times at about 40 yards, and I was calling, trying to pull them down just enough to get in range, and they never did. They might have been once or twice, and my buddy is not a field hunter, so he probably passed on a couple of shots that maybe could have been taken, but she stayed steady through that, but obviously no shots were fired. So I think it was a good step back toward the right direction there, instead of like giving her that correction for the break, and then the next event is another bird down in front of her. Like, we were able to kind of ease back into what we're looking for out of her, instead of throwing her to the wolves once again. We want to see success in both training and when we're out in the field. We don't want to build bad habits out in the field.
Yeah. No, that sounds like actually a nice situation. It probably sucked as you were sitting there because you wanted the birds to work in, but for her, it's probably actually a really good thing. Right.
Yep.
She's got to sit there, listen to all the calling. She can see the birds, right? Clearly she can see the birds. She knows where they're at. She's hunted a ton. She's following them. They don't quite finish, right? They don't quite give you or Tony a shot, and then they fly off. It's like, okay, great. She held it together, right? Composure.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Yep.
Any other groups work in?
We had another group that kind of slid off to the side that kind of gave us a wide turn, and we did take a couple shots at. She did stay steady through those shots. Now nothing fell out in front, but we did kind of sail one into the standing corn behind us, and she caught it out of the corner of her eye. And as soon as I heard it hit the corn, I was able to just send her to try to get to it as quickly as possible. So, I wasn't, again, probably another nice progression toward what we're looking for out of that true steadiness of, like, okay, you sat there through the shot, but that immediate send right away. Then she doesn't have this chance of getting a correction. She got to go on her name. She got to, go hunt that bird up. So looking back now, like, the progression throughout the day is what I think I probably could have drawn it up any better, to be honest with you. She never did find that bird. I don't know if, I lost it as it sailed. I don't know if it sailed back further, or it looked wings, but man, just, kind of walked off on her. We walked 30, 40 rows down and just kind of squatted down and looked down each direction and never did find that bird, which was a little bit of a shame. But again, we got the steadiness that we were hoping for out of it.
Yeah, that's a win. That's a huge win. Huge win. That's
Yeah.
great. Right. I mean, it's not like, right, if I'm looking at it, it's not like, right, when the dog continues to do the same thing and make the same mistake, it's like, oh, well, she had opportunities to and she didn't. So that's right. Progress.
Yeah.
I would say. You said she's had breaking issues on geese in the past.
She has.
Yeah. Is it like with other dogs, with big groups of people, or is it just a goose, like giant birds dropping in front of her, can't hold it together kind of thing?
So I think it's all the above. Maybe made some mistakes on how I did some goose hunts with her. The first couple that she went on, 3 years ago, where we killed a lot of birds, but it was with a buddy that had a dog that did not hold his dog to the same standard of being steady. And I think that kind of pulled it out a little more breaking in her, in that, that competition factor of that other dog's already out there getting birds. I need to get out there and get some of my own. So that didn't help. Because it's I wouldn't say it progressively got worse for a while, but it's not to the point where it's still getting worse. And it's controllable now. Like, with a good correction, we're obviously seeing that, like, she's showing understanding the correction, understanding of the situation, what the correction is for, and we are getting the behavior change that we're looking for with giving that correction. But those first couple of hunts, with that other dog, and they were very successful hunts. So there were a lot of birds coming down, and there were a lot of big groups, to be honest, like 20, 30 birds at a time setting in the decoys. We had a couple of hunts that were over water, so we got big splashes right in front of her, and it's just, I didn't set her up right here. So it's just, geese are like her kryptonite when it comes to breaking. It was big groups too, and it's if I'd go back and do it again, I would do it differently. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. We all make mistakes and learn. Each dog is different though too, how they react and handle things. Geese on water, right? That's a whole another ball game. All right, been there, done that. A bird 20 yards in front of your dog that lands on its back and is flapping its wings like this and just making giant splashes. I mean, that is a challenge.
You're asking a lot of your dog.
Correct. As you're firing your gun and not paying attention to your dog too. So, and that's like the situation I just talked about. Mac I got invited out with a group, like 3 other people, like in this blind or whatever, at a place I used to train at, and they required all dogs to be tied up. It was him and another dog, and they had it tied up. They lashed it, or I lashed it to the D loop on his e-collar, right? And he sat there, and another bird came back and made another pass. We had 2 or 3 in the water. Another bird came back because they just wanted in because they're stupid, right? At this time of year. And we fired again, and he snapped the D loop on his collar with that bird 20 yards in front of him. Splash. Like, that's just like it. Yeah, it happens. Geese is a whole nother challenge. So it's manageable, right? You know the correction to give. She responds to the correction. Are you going to do anything else, like, going forward? Have you thought about tying her up at all so you can focus on hunting?
I have thought about it, but I need to not focus on hunting. I need, like, we have high goals and aspirations to continue to, work through and get her a master title and be able to do all that stuff with her. So if it's like a hunt around the house or something, like I'd rather not pull the trigger and hold her to the standard than tie her up and pull the trigger. And I don't know, in my mind, it's kind of like junior hunt tests. You can hold the flat buckle collar and keep your dog steady in those tests. And every single dog that I've run in a junior test wants to pull more if you're holding them than if they're not being held. And I think it can't, depending on the dog's personality, I think it can create almost more problems to physically restrain them, because then there's a very black and white of I'm being restrained versus I'm not being restrained. And I understand the idea, the mindset of like, well, we're creating these habits in the dog of like, you're not able to break, so then you don't break. And it should relay off to when you're not being restrained. But my dogs, and Nala especially, in a junior test, she pulled like a son of a gun if I held her by her flat buckle collar. But if I did not touch her, she was a lot more steady.
So I understand your thought process. I want to challenge a little bit here as we go back and forth on this. So is she hunting out of a dog blind at all? Like where you could attach her to the dog blind where she's not pulling against it, right? There's slack in it. And if she breaks, there's something that she's dragging like that. Do you think that would work?
It might. Today she was running just off of a place stand. And it was just, it was down on the ground. So,
yes.
Every
hunt is different too.
Yeah. And we try to do stuff like in a dog blind or on a place stand, or, we use those Tangle Free 360s a lot where she's inside there with you. And, we're trying I would rather give like that, I'm trying to think of the word here, that like physical on something, off of something. It makes it very black and white for a dog of you're either there and you're steady, or you're not there and it's not considered steady, and you get the correction for getting off of or getting out of the dog blind.
Sure. That's fair. That's fair. I can get behind that. I think as I'm thinking about it, right, I think she's had enough experience where she can compartmentalize the difference between hunt tests and actual hunting. So I think you could probably tie her up, and then you could practice your complex blind retrieves that you're going to run at the master test with her, because she can run pretty much any blind you need her to. She doesn't actually need to see the marks fall,
right?
To go out there. So you have that advantage too, right? It's not you're not hunting a junior dog that can't handle to a bird. They have to see it fall and has a breaking issue. She's much more advanced than that. So the really interesting thing is, right, there's so many nuances to this, right? It's like a real world, real life case study thing here we're talking about, right? And each dog is so different, and there's different ways to skin this cat. There's different ways to handle it too. Right. And like which way is going to work best? I don't know. Probably your way. You know your dog better than I do. But I want to check in and learn more about like how the rest of the season goes, right? Does she break again? Like, how do you handle it? Like, and then what situations do you put her into? Right. I think sometimes as hunters too, we don't always have a choice, right? If we're going to bring a dog, right, we don't always have a choice where we can put them in always the best situation. Sometimes it's like, this is the hunt. Maybe I'm hunting with some buddies. My dog is the most skilled and advanced dog. It's not great, but this is the only dog that can actually do the work in this situation too.
Right.
So, and then we just have to work through it as handlers. So I don't know. And then we go back in the off season and we just work on all the problems that we caused.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the more frustrating parts about this is I know that she can be steady. Like she's steady for her senior test. She is steady in training. She is steady in most of the time in duck hunts. Every once in a while, you'll get a random break here or there, and then that's the only one that you see for a couple of weeks. But it's these dang geese. So yeah, that I think that's part of the reason about not tying up too, because like if it's me and a couple of guys in 360s and she's either in there with me or in a dog blind right next to us, like she's gonna do it just fine. So it feels like in my mind like that's deserving of a correction for the break as opposed to some, I don't know, you don't want to necessarily call it like a crutch or a band-aid type of fix.
Sure.
Because it isn't to tie your dog up. And I am not too proud to tie up my dog. And nobody should ever be too proud to tie up their dog if they're having a problem. Just knowing her and her history, I'm feeling that tying her up is not necessarily my best option.
That's fair. That's fair. And if you can dedicate the time as the handler where you do more handling and less hunting, you're gonna nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. You will. Yeah. If you want to do more hunting, then you know, that's where you probably got to pick and choose what you want to do. So
exactly.
And that's right. And that's I think that's a lesson there for all of us too.
Yep.
And I'm more than apt to tie my dogs up so I can actually hunt because I'm selfish and I actually want to try to kill birds, which I don't do very often. So, and it's, you know, each way works. It's great though. I am genuinely curious though to hear like your future goose hunts. I know you're a big duck guy here. So, but like you take her back out, like, okay, like what did you do? How did you handle it? I know we'll check in too. Anything we missed?
Oh, I can't think of anything really. I mean, it wasn't super exciting of a hunt this morning. You know, we got that 4 or 5 groups. We had a couple groups at the end that just set down 150 yards at the other side of the field and all that. Just typical early goose thing. You know, just enough to get you excited and kind of like, oh, maybe I could get into this goose a little more, and then just frustrate the crap out of you.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add with Nala, what you want to do going forward, or anything we didn't talk about in the hunt?
Yeah, you know, like her next hunt is more than likely going to be opening day here in, you know, just under 2 weeks. And I have been thinking about this pretty much all day since the break of how am I gonna handle this and make sure this doesn't become a pattern or a habit this season. And it's going to be a controlled hunt, you know, me, maybe one other guy, probably one other guy. That way, the first few birds that come in, I'm not even going to take my gun out of the case until, you know, probably until he shoots his 3 wood ducks, and then I'll pull mine out to shoot, you know, mine, because that's pretty much all we shoot on opening day around here anyway is wood ducks. But you know, putting her in that more of a controlled situation, possibly even waiting a little bit, you know, waiting till you get an extra 10-15 minutes of light before we start pulling the trigger. You know, if we feel like there's enough birds around where we can do that, I think that would be a little more helpful for her, so that way she can see everything and there's not this, like, you know, flash or shadow that she's getting surprised by or anything. And also so I can see everything as a handler to be able to handle her, you know, properly, to make sure that we don't get any more breaks out of her. But, you know, and then the other thing that I do a lot of is, like, if it's me and another guy or me and myself, like, my shot call will be the word sit. It'll just be a big loud sit. And, like, my buddies will know, like that means go ahead. And, that he responds pretty well to that verbal reminder. So that's something that we're probably going to implement pretty frequently here in the next couple of hunts that we do to help reinforce.
I like that. I've never heard of that before, but I like the shot call is actually a sit. One last verbal reminder before the guns start going off and the birds start hitting the water.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yep. Yeah,
Ooh.
sit and I actually went on a hunt last year with just me and her, and I only ever put one shell in the gun. Just that way I wasn't tempted to just keep pulling the trigger, and we can make sure we get nice controlled retrieves. It made me take better shots where I was dropping birds right in the decoys instead of sailing or taking pokes and prayers, and just very controlled. I mean, that's the goal with a dog that's kind of riding the edge, and that's where I consider Nala is riding the edge. Is we want to break down the hunt and get as much control as possible.
Okay, it's good. I like that. You have a great feel of where your dog is at, what they need, and who they are. Right, how to poke them and prod them, pull them back, push them forward, give them a little bit more gas, or hit the brakes on them, tell them to slow it down a little bit. If I'm ever the shot caller, I'm gonna steal the sit thing. So that's great. I'm only doing that when I'm hunting solo.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. I think I said this would be like a 20-minute conversation. It's turned into like 30. It's been great stuff though. Aaron, if folks want to reach out to you, give a quick shout out how people get in touch with you, right? Because they might be having an issue breaking on their dog. They need some training. Maybe they want to get on the list for your next litter of puppies. Let people know where they can find you and follow you at.
Yep. So Instagram, Facebook, and our website, all Red Cedar Retrievers or redcedarretrievers.com. We just revamped our website, so we've got a contact page if you're interested in, getting in a training program that we offer or getting on the puppy list. Otherwise, I think I say it every time I'm on here with you. If anybody has any questions about anything, please feel free to reach out. I got tons of free advice when I got going and started in training, so I am more than willing to hand it back out.
Yep. Perfect. Excellent. Aaron, thank you as always for jumping on here. Great stuff tonight. Great discussion. Great breakdown. We'll do one of these the other way. With one situation I encounter or two with my dogs later this season. Be well, my friend. If you made it this far in this podcast, thank you. Appreciate it. Quick review, 10 seconds. You can do it. Otherwise, we will see you all next week. Later.